Alright, so I did my presentation on Kant's Deontological ethics and truthfulness in the mass media. A little background on Immanuel Kant. He lived from 1724 to 1804. He was born in Königsberg, East Prussia. He attended the Collegium Fridericium at the age of 8. After over 8 years of study there, he went to the University of Königsberg, where he spent his academic career focusing on philosophy, mathematics, and physics. The death of his father had a strong effect on Kant. He left the university and earned a living as a private tutor. However, in 1755, he accepted the help of a friend and resumed study, receiving his doctorate in 1756. He taught at the university and remained there for 15 years, beginning his lectures on the sciences and mathematics, though over time he covered most branches of philosophy. In spite of his growing reputation as an original thinker, he did not gain tenure at the university until 1770, receiving his professorship of logic and metaphysics. He continued writing and lecturing at Königsberg for the next 27 years, drawing many students there due to his rationalist and hence unorthodox approach to religious text. This led to political pressure from the government of Prussia, and in 1792 he was barred from teaching or writing on religious subjects by the king, Frederick William II. Kant dutifully obeyed the injunction until the death of the king 5 years later, returning to the writing and lecturing of his ideas. The year following his retirement, he published a summary on his views of religion. He then died in 1804. So Kant's deontological ethics. Kant was the first great philosopher to define deontological principles. Deontology places special emphasis on the relationship between duty and morality of human actions. In deontological ethics, an action is considered morally good because of some characteristic of the action itself, not because the product of the action is good. Kant held that nothing is good without qualification except a good will, and a good will is one that wills to act in accord with the moral law and out of respect for the law rather than out of natural inclinations. Kant saw the moral law as a categorical imperative, an unconditional command, and believed that its content could be established by human reason alone. So the categorical imperative. There are two parts to Kant's categorical imperative. The first part says, act only according to the maximum by which you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. This means make sure if you do this action, it can be done universally and you'll be alright with everybody else in the world doing it. The second part says, so act as to treat humanity, whether in your own person or in another, always as an end and never as only a means. Kant's point is that a person should not be a mere means. Treat that person as a rational being, much in the way you would want to be treated. Kant and truth. A major virtue of Kant's duty theory is its simplicity. It does not require that we consider or predict consequences of specific decisions. Truth is right and lying is wrong, always and invariably. Therefore, our duty is to always tell the truth. So this leads to truthfulness in the mass media. Journalists have always claimed that they feel obliged to report the truth, and reporters or editors who violate this commitment to truth have paid dearly. There have been numerous examples in mass media of journalists lying in the media. The Washington Post's credibility suffered a major blow when the paper discovered in 1981 that a Pulitzer Prize-winning story by reporter Janet Cook was fabricated. Another example, in spring 2003, young New York Times reporter Jason Blair created shockwaves throughout the news business when it was revealed that he had fabricated or plagiarized at least 36 stories for the nation's most prestigious paper. The controversy concerns not only the poor behavior of the particular journalist, but also the implications of that behavior for the publication and the resulting lack of trust in the institution. At issue 2 is the lack of commitment to the truth on the part of publications and editors that put exciting stories ahead of making sure those stories are true. This brings me to the current issue with truthfulness in the media with Brian Williams. Famous NBC News anchor Brian Williams has come under increased scrutiny after apologizing for wrongly reporting he had survived enemy fire during a helicopter flight over Iraq in 2003, a story he repeated in interviews and on a recent broadcast. It was another helicopter, not the one carrying Williams, that faced enemy fire. The incident became known as Choppergate. Now, previous news stories reported by Williams are thought to be possibly fabricated. Williams was suspended 6 months by NBC for his lies. And here's a link to the original broadcast that is in question. So, applying Kant's deontology to truthfulness in the media. Kant believed in the ultimate truth and always believed that lying was wrong no matter what the circumstance was. So clearly Kant would think that journalists lying would be morally and ethically wrong. He would believe that they should tell the ultimate truth. When it comes to the instance involving Brian Williams and Choppergate, Kant would obviously view Williams' actions as unethical. He would wonder why Williams lied about the situation instead of just reporting the truth. Kant believes it is all about the duty of the action, not the result, so he'd say Williams did not do his duty and acted immoral. Kant would tell Williams to use more reason next time in decision making. Reason is our faculty of making inferences and of identifying the grounds behind every truth. Alright, now let's apply the categorical imperative to truthfulness in the media. According to the categorical imperative, in order to be acting ethically, you need to be telling the truth. The first part says to act only according to the maxim by which you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. Well, if every member of the media lied about news stories and that became universal, then the media wouldn't be doing its job. That would be completely unethical and immoral. In order to be moral, you need to tell the truth. That is what the universal law should say. The second part says, so act as to treat humanity, whether in your own person or in another, always as an end and never only as a means. If journalists lied to the public about the news, like what Brian Williams did, then they would be using the public as a means to an end. This, according to Kant, is unethical. In order to be ethical, journalists need to tell the truth. So in conclusion, Kant has a very strong stance on truth in his deontological ethics. Unless journalists are telling the absolute truth in their stories, they are acting unethically and immoral. Journalists, just like Brian Williams and Jason Blair, should use more reason to guide them in their duty as reporters. It really is that simple. So here are the several sources I used in my presentation. And that is all. Thank you.